I'm Amanda. I'm going to be doing an Astrand Submax Aerobic Capacity test today. This is my subject, Emily, and she's been warming up for the last couple minutes. To give you a little background on Emily, she is 38 years old. She is considered a low cardiovascular risk with 0 risk factors. She works out enough that it puts her into a moderate activity level. We took her resting vitals before she started. Her resting heart rate was 68. Her resting blood pressure was 122/76. The heart rate would put her in a normal category. The blood pressure would put her in a slightly pre-hypertensive range. But because her values are in a safe range and she doesn't have any signs and symptoms or history of cardiovascular disease, we were safe to start the test. She's warming up right now at 35 watts, which is half of our goal workload for a conditioned female. She's going to be warming up for 3 minutes total on the bike. We have the seat adjusted, so when she's standing, it's about at the height of her greater trochanter. So, now she's approaching that 3-minute mark. We'll take her blood pressure and heart rate to make sure she's responding appropriately. So her current heart rate is 80 beats per minute, and her blood pressure is 128/80. So she is responding appropriately with her heart rate slightly increasing, her systolic slightly increasing, and her diastolic is fairly close to where we started. Now, Emily, can you let me know what your RPE is from the score?
Very, very light.
Okay, so we're using the RPE, the rate of perceived exertion, and she gave very, very light, which is about a 7 on this scale. So from here, we can increase her to her workload. So we're going to go up to just to 70 watts. And like I said, that's appropriate for a conditioned female, or I'm sorry, 75 watts. Okay, and we're going to be at this for 3 minutes, and then we'll take her vitals again. And throughout the test, we'll check in and make sure that Emily doesn't have any signs or symptoms of cardiovascular disease to make sure that we're safe to continue. So are you having any issues at all? No? Nope. As she's going through the exercise, she was instructed at warm-up that her speed's going to stay constant throughout. So we're looking for a goal of about 50 RPMs for the warm-up and the actual workload phase. So she's coming up to that 3-minute mark. We're going to take heart rate and blood pressure again to see if she reached that submax range. right, so Emily's heart rate was at 110, her blood pressure was 140/82. Now, with her age-adjusted heart rate max of 181, her submax range will be between 108 and 154. So with 110, we're in that submax range, so we can continue the test for another 3 minutes. Now, her blood pressure of 140/82 is responding normally as well, with that slight increase in the systolic and that stagnant diastolic. Can you look at the RPE scale and give us your rating right about now?
About somewhat hard.
Okay, so somewhat hard would be about 13 on the RPE scale. So because we're in the submax range, we're going to continue for 3 additional minutes at this workload, keeping that same 50 revolutions per minute, and we'll check then to see if she stays at a submax range, if we can get her at a steady state. If at that time, if she wasn't at submax range in her heart rate, we could have upped her workload to 100, which is still in that conditioned female range. Alright, so we're at the 5-minute mark. So for her blood pressure was 142/82, and her heart rate was 125, so she's still in that submax range, and her blood pressure is staying in a safe range. So just to make sure she's at a true steady state at the 6-minute mark, we're going to take just her heart rate again. We can use the blood pressure from the last reading at that time. So her heart rate was 128, which is in that steady state range, is within 5 beats per second of the last one. And Emily, one last time, can you let me know what your RPE is based on the scale?
Still somewhat hard.
Okay, so it's still going to be at about a 13, which corresponds appropriately with her heart rate. So at this point, we can stop the test. So if you want to take this back down to 35. So different reasons we would stop the test. One that we're using right now is she's at a steady state in that submax range in the 6-minute mark of the Astrand test. Also, if she had any adverse signs and symptoms, if she had any abnormal responses to exercise, or if her heart rate got above 85% of max, we would stop the test at that point. She's going to continue a cool down at about 25 watts, pretty easy going for 3 to 5 minutes. We're going to continue to monitor her, and our goal is for her blood pressure and heart rate to get within 10% of where we started. And we can use these values to then calculate our final VO2 max.